Changing the state's constitution. Coming up, the passionate State House debate and what we know so far about the August election. And new on Face the State, a funding fight. The director of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources is worried about keeping our state's parks operational. And the burnout factor. We'll look at why teachers are struggling and who will educate our children should educators leave the profession. Face the State starts now. Shouts at the State House. Despite Wednesday's demonstration, legislation is moving forward, asking voters to raise the passage threshold for constitutional amendments. And now poll workers are preparing for an August election. Thank you so much for joining us for Face the State on this Sunday. I'm Tracy Townsend. 10 TV News reporter Richard Solomon takes us to the State House.
In the halls of the State House, together, they were loud and clear on where they stand with SJR2.
Our ability to determine our own futures as voters is on the line.
I am here to say today that this brazen, undemocratic power grab will not stand.
The Ohio House and Senate agreed to send the voters in August a measure making it more difficult to amend the state's constitution. The resolution asked voters to raise the threshold for future constitutional amendments from 50% plus one to a 60% supermajority.
This is about more than just one issue. It is about more than just one election. It's about roads and bridges, educating our children, investing in clean water.
We spoke with State Representative Brian Stewart, who supports the resolution and says he's happy with what transpired.
I plan to certainly continue to talk about why I think it is the right policy change for Ohioans to make. I anticipate that, there will obviously be a pretty robust campaign on both sides. I would expect that.
Those against the resolution say this fight is just beginning.
And we will keep coming back again and again and again because our democracy is worth having faith in the people of Ohio.
And the special election will be August 8th. Many say there is a lot at stake here. We'll, of course, keep you updated. For now, reporting at the State House, I'm 10 TV's Richard Solomon. Back to you.
Governor DeWine is not required to sign this resolution because it's going to the voters. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources is pushing for additional funding in the state budget. Director Mary Mertz says as the COVID-19 emergency began to subside, visitors flooded back to the parks. In 2022, there was a record-breaking 1 million overnight stays at parks, but she testified this past week that the parks might not be able to keep up under the latest draft of the budget.
In the House-passed version of the budget, ODNR's GRF was reduced $55.4 million from the proposed budget over the entire biennium. And what that translates into is essentially flat funding for the department's divisions. I anticipate this will affect current operations as well as any future plans that we may have in the department. After required pay raises and inflation, this will mean less money for improving and maintaining the parks where families have been making memories for generations, as well as reductions to the mission of many of the other impacted divisions. ODNR prides itself on safe, well-maintained properties, and the budget proposal we originally presented focuses on improving recreation and conservation, providing wise regulatory oversight, and continuing to grow our H2 Ohio water quality initiatives.
ODNR owns and manages more than 800,000 acres of land, including 75 state parks. The department also has 120,000 jurisdiction over more than 120,000 acres of inland waters. There are staff members in every one of Ohio's 88 counties. The ODNR director spoke with the Senate Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee. We reached out to that committee chair, Senator Tim Schaefer, who says he's concerned about replenishing. Here's how the budget process works. Director Mertz was referring to the House-passed budget. Next, the Senate will pass its own version. Within the next month, the budget will be reconciled with the House of Representatives budget before the constitutional required deadline of delivering it to the governor by June 30th. Now to Washington. The full Senate could vote soon on legislation aimed at protecting railways. On Wednesday, the Railway Safety Act of 2023 was passed by a key Senate committee. The legislation enhances safety procedures for trains carrying hazardous materials, establishes requirements for wayside defect detectors, and creates a permanent requirement for railroads to operate with at least two-person crews. Ohio's U.S. Senators Sherrod Brown and J.D. Vance sponsored this bill. Senator Brown wrote, "We built a broad bipartisan coalition that agrees on these common sense safety measures that will finally hold big railroad companies like Norfolk Southern accountable. I'll continue working with members of both parties to get this done and make sure disastrous derailments like the one in East Palestine never happen again." And that's part of a statement from Senator Brown. Now, Senator Vance wrote, "Through this legislation, Congress has a real opportunity to ensure that what happened in East Palestine will never happen again. Norfolk Southern will pay East Palestine homeowners the difference in loss if they are selling their home." This is according to CEO Alan Shaw in a letter to lawmakers earlier this week. And this includes houses within a 5-mile radius of the derailment site. This plan will come in the form of a reimbursement fund. One of the state's largest hospitals is right here in Central Ohio and in the middle of a makeover. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center has a new inpatient tower going up and a new chief executive officer moving in. Dr. John Warner sat down with me to talk about his first 30 days on the job. It's an exclusive you'll only see here on 10 TV.
It's not just the building, which is magnificent, but it's the process. It's a chance to kind of re-examine your priorities, the work that you do, how you can better improve the care and service to patients and families.
The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center's new CEO, John Warner, believes the building process here extends beyond the construction of this 1.9 million square foot inpatient hospital.
My goal for Ohio State and the medical center would be to be part of that growth and to be an asset, so that as companies are coming, they would be coming for the great business community and the living sort of opportunities in Ohio, but also for great health care.
Dr. Warner comes to the Buckeye State from the Lone Star State, where he was CEO of the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center.
So my wife and I thought if there were ever another chapter for us that was outside of Texas, that we wanted to go to a really vibrant community like Columbus.
Dr. Warner says they are looking to make an impact here in the community and the workplace, even after the pandemic.
During the pandemic, we learned to do that. We had to come together quickly to solve hard problems and really care for people and each other in very different ways. So I think that emphasis on teamwork is where medicine is heading. I think the experiences that we had during COVID will prepare us for that.
It would appear medical centers nationwide were unprepared for the COVID-19 pandemic's toll on staffing. A March 2023 report from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the healthcare system lost 20% of its workforce, with hospital understaffing leading to burnout and fatigue among frontline medical professionals. Warner told me they've seen a 10% year-over-year increase in terms of hiring at the medical center and 15% in hiring nurses.
People have had a lot of experiences during the pandemic, which have sort of caused them to re-examine their own priorities around where they want to work, what type of work they want to do, what types of people they want to work with. So I think mission is more important to people than ever.
Mission includes overcoming the social determinants of health, the non-medical factors that influence health outcomes, including the conditions where people are born, grow, work, and live. How do you build on the work that's already taken place?
Yeah, it's really important. It's a great question. I think, first of all, learning to better meet the needs of communities starts with listening.
And Dr. Warner's first day on the job, he got to do just that at OSU East. His team shared these pictures with us.
Ohio State has done a great job, I think, of both of those components, examining where we could have the biggest impact by improving social determinants of health, but not just bringing what you're already doing to another community, going in up front and listening to the people that live and work in those communities, understanding what they're feeling, what their observations are about their own health and well-being and what we need to do to improve their lives.
And Dr. Warner is a cardiologist who's practiced medicine for more than 2 decades. In addition to his medical training, he holds a master's degree in physician executive business administration. The hospital's inpatient hospital tower, by the way, is scheduled to open in 2026. One of Columbus's most beloved neighborhoods is working to move away from crime.
This is where a lot of visitors are sent. We're kind of one of several flagships for our community. And having an erupt in violence like this on what's becoming a regular basis is not good for the city as a whole, let alone our neighborhood.
Coming up on Face the State, we visit the Short North community and talk with a neighbor who's seen the ups and the downs of the area since the 1980s. Plus,
I'm really happy that they are recommending to starting at age 40.
New guidance from medical experts on mammograms. But there's one area where this breast surgeon is not in agreement. Welcome back. Neighborhoods go through changes, and no community knows that more than the Short North. After 10 people were shot along High Street last weekend, we looked back into the 10 TV archives and the Ohio History Connection to see how the area has changed. We also talked with someone who has owned property in the Victorian Village community for more than 4 decades. Here's 10 TV's Clay Gordon.
Certainly the High Street corridor was very distressed and very crime-ridden in 1980 when I moved here.
Jack Decker, the Short North Civic Association president, remembers 40 years ago when the Short North was the kind of place where you locked your door and hit the gas pedal. Police dispatchers began using the term Short North because it was north of downtown and short of the university district surrounding The Ohio State University. It was a squatter's neighborhood plagued by street-level crime and gang violence. And the word gang was synonymous with the Short North Posse. That group ran the street scene in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Its headquarters was North 4th Street and East 8th Avenue, which was once known as the most dangerous street corner in the city. Numerous murder cases and drug investigations were tied to this group. But then came the crackdown and the arrests.
Years ago, we went through and arrested about 46 members of the Short North, and this is a follow-up just to let them know that we haven't forgotten about them.
The feds pursued cases against at least 20 members of the group.
Violent element of the Short North Posse, I feel comfortable saying we have cut the head off.
And prosecutors wrapped up that work in 2017. As police worked to force the criminals out, new businesses worked to change the narrative. The Short North Tavern was the first to use the neighborhood name in 1981. Gallery Hop began, and the opening of Rigsby's Kitchen in 1986 is known as a pivotal point in the Short North's renaissance. It was more than the food, it was the art and the Short North's Arts District. A quick drive down High Street today shows the influence of immense creativity and commerce. But you'll also notice Rigsby Kitchen has closed, replaced with a new business, and massive apartment complexes, bars, and restaurants sit where artists used to make their living.
There's a sweet spot in between where we started and where we are now, and I think we drove past it.
And with gunfire interrupting the late-night party scene, old questions about safety are new again.
Having a predomination of bars and taverns in the neighborhood as we have for more and more in the last 15 years is, I think, a negative development that pretty much correlates to the kinds of problems we saw Friday night and Saturday morning. We're in danger of killing the goose that laid the golden egg.
I'm Clay Gordon, 10 TV News.
The Short North Alliance, which consists of business owners and property owners, says this is a complex citywide issue. The group also notes there was a special duty officer who was able to quickly intervene last weekend. There are new guidelines when it comes to mammograms. Coming up, we talk with a breast cancer specialist from Ohio Health. And how about a staycation in the Buckeye State? We'll show you an Ohio tourism campaign that, it might sound a little familiar. We'll be right back. An increase in breast cancer diagnoses has led to new guidelines for when women should get their first screenings. The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force now says women should begin regular mammograms starting at the age of 40. The screening should happen every other year. Well, this past week on Wake Up CBUS, I talked with Dr. Deepa Hala-Harvey. She's a breast cancer survivor and surgeon at Ohio Health.
I'm really happy that they are recommending to starting at age 40 for average risk women than at 50. What I'm still not happy about is they recommended every other year, and they really don't have any recommendations for dense breast tissue or those women who have dense breasts. This is extremely important. I mean, we at Ohio Health, fortunately, do follow the NCCN guidelines, which have recommended starting screening mammography at age 40. But, there are physicians in the country who don't follow those recommendations, and they were following the USPSTF guidelines to start at age 50. 40% of the Black women are higher death rate for Black women compared to white women. There are those interval cancers that can get missed. And about 20 to 25% of the women who die of breast cancer are between 40 and 50. And there are a number of studies to show that starting screening mammography at age 40 decreases death rate, and also early detection leads to good prognosis, regardless of the race.
Now, according to the Radiological Society of North America, the rate of metastatic breast cancer among women between 25 to 39 is up 32% since the year 2009. We are in the middle of what many are calling a nationwide teacher shortage, and one question looms: who's going to teach America's children when people don't want to teach anymore? Well, research has found that teachers impact student achievement more than any other aspect of schooling. But as our Verify team reports, many in the profession say they've had enough.
I don't know if I can do this. I don't know how much longer I have in me.
Am I burned out? Yes, I've been burned out for quite some time. That stress is compounding.
I need a pep talk right now because I'm not sure if I can come back Monday at this point.
Violeta Duran is a high school English teacher with nearly 20 years of experience. She's burned out, and she's not alone. According to a 2022 Gallup survey of more than 12,000 workers across 14 industries, including other high-stress careers like healthcare and law, teachers in K-12 education are the most burned out. The National Center for Education Statistics says nearly half of all public schools reported full or part-time teaching vacancies that they were unable to fill in 2022. The result? Larger class sizes and less support for the teachers who remain.
The impact is massive. Every student you add on top of that exponentially increases the difficulty in being able to aid every student.
Aid that research shows students sorely need following years of disrupted learning caused by the pandemic. And teachers say they don't have the bandwidth to give. But class size is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what students and teachers are struggling with right now. Teachers say when they returned to the classroom full-time, students were less engaged and more prone to behavioral issues. Verify spoke to several current and former teachers who say they're burning out for two main reasons: being overworked and underpaid. Teachers say those factors aren't new, but they've reached a breaking point that might cause your child's teacher to leave the classroom for good.
My pay since I started has not quite doubled, but my rent has tripled.
Throughout her career, Duran's salary hasn't kept up with the cost of living. The average teacher salary in the U.S. during the 2021 to 2022 school year was $66,432. Adjust that for inflation, and it's less than teachers made 10 years ago, according to the National Education Association. And teachers' salaries are not increasing at the same rate as their workload. According to survey data from research organization RAND, nearly 60% of teachers reported working more than they did before the pandemic, with teachers working 6 more hours per week on average. The main reason? Teachers had to dedicate more time to creating lesson plans to keep students engaged.
They kind of unlearned how to be students.
Data from McKinsey & Company, a research and consulting group, found that on average, K-12 students fell behind by 5 months in mathematics and 4 months in reading than they were expected to be at the end of the 2021 to 2022 school year. Teachers now have to spend more time to help their students catch up.
I really became very poor at managing my personal time.
Middle school band teacher Sarah Coyce quit in 2021.
My mental health has improved leaps and bounds. I started doing things I enjoy, And it was actually, some of it was music. I realized how much I had stepped away from the thing I loved that got me into teaching in the first place.
Both pay and workload issues are even worse for teachers of color. A recent Center for American Progress study found that Black teachers earn, on average, $2,700 less per year than white teachers. Black teachers disproportionately teach in high-poverty schools, where teachers earn even less. And to make matters worse,
oftentimes educators of color are returning to the scene of the crime, so to speak. They were students in our school system or students in school systems that, where they felt oftentimes very undersupported.
Teachers of color told Verify they often have to take on extra responsibilities compared to their white peers. Evan Shin was one of those teachers. Now he's an instructional coach providing mentorship and guidance to teachers in the classroom. He says white teachers often tasked him with disciplining students of color in their classrooms just because he's Black.
It wears on you. It becomes a brown and black tax.
¿Puedes cambiar de opinión? Sí. A 2018 study of Latino teachers found a similar pattern. Many bilingual educators reported that they often took on extra responsibilities, like translating, and weren't compensated. Regardless of race, teachers burning out and leaving the profession is nothing new. Richard Ingersoll, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania who studies trends in the teaching workforce, found that for the last 2 decades,
between 40 and 50% of those who go into teaching are gone within the first 5 years.
A statistic he says his research still supports today. So what's different now? America's teaching pipeline is drying up.
We're losing teachers faster than we can get new ones in.
A report from the National Education Association, the nation's largest teachers union, revealed that more than half of their teachers in 2021 said they were more likely to quit or retire early because of ongoing job stress. On top of that, less people are studying to become teachers. Most states require teachers to at least have a bachelor's degree to teach at any grade level. The majority of teachers have a degree in education. But according to data from the National Center for Education Statistics, the percent of college grads earning a bachelor's degree in education is roughly half of what it was in 1970, dropping from more than 170,000 to less than 90,000 in 2019.
I feel like teachers have been screaming, there's a crisis, there's a crisis, there's a crisis, and nobody's listening.
So who's going to teach America's children when that pipeline dries up?
It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Next week on Face the State, Verify shows us what's being done to get more people into the teaching profession. We'll take a look at action from the federal and state governments, as well as look at how one major university is giving students a full ride to school if they commit to becoming a teacher in their state. Okay, the Buckeye State has a new brand.
We are Ohio, the heart of it all.
And that new slogan replaces Ohio, Find It Here, which has been used since 2016. Governor Mike DeWine made the announcement on Ohio Tourism Day last week. He said he wants to promote Ohio as more than a travel destination, and instead as a great place to live, work, and raise a family.
Ohio is the heart of opportunity. Whether you're starting a business, looking to change careers, or working towards a better future for your family, for yourself, Ohio is the heart of opportunity. It is a place where dreams can come true.
And the brand isn't really that new. It was also our state's slogan back in the 1980s and 90s. The heart of it all. Thank you for being with us here today. We do want to wish you all a happy Mother's Day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Wake Up CBUS.